This is Seasons of Discontent with your hosts Rick Snyder and Matt Combs on the Hogstye Network.
Welcome to Seasons of Discontent, Season 7, Episode 35, brought to you by Rick Snyder's Washington across social media. And I'm Rick Snyder.
I'm Matt.
And we're back discussing all things Washington sports and life as part of the Mighty Hogstye Network on audio and here YouTube on video. All right, Washington is playing San Francisco on Christmas Eve at 4 o'clock. Thank you so much for that. But it is out there, at least, so I won't be sitting in a stadium. And I'm not sure how much of the game I'm going to get to watch, but it's not much game to watch. I think this one will be over by half. I think San Francisco runs away with this one. And Washington's a little bit in chaos. And this is a game that they figure they're going to lose, and they got two more they can try and win those to get to the playoffs. But, this isn't going to shape up well for Washington.
No, this will be over by halftime. I'm with you on that one. Even with Brock Purdy at quarterback, I just feel like San Francisco's defense, look, the Giants defense made us look embarrassed on Sunday Night Football. What do you think the number one overall defense in the league is going to do? It's going to be pretty bad. They're going to expose more issues with this team and we'll talk about that next week, but they're going to expose a lot of issues with this offensive line.
Yeah, but what about Chase Young? Won't he come back to help the defense and chase things down? Yeah, Merry Christmas on that one. All right, so let's see. Yada, yada, yada. I'll pick San Francisco 27, Washington 13.
I'm kind of feeling the same. I'll say San Fran 27, Washington 10.
All right, switching gears, going to RFK Stadium because we love that. Two issues there. We'll go to the seats first. They sold the old seats to suckers for $400 each and a 9% tax fee. They're another $36. And you had to come get them, so, that too. And
you have to clean them. They were filthy. Our buddy from the Hogstye, Alex, bought one. That thing was dirty. It's been sitting in an abandoned stadium for 20 years.
Yeah. And people lined up to go get them. Listen, it's your money. If you want to spend $400 on that, that's your business. I wouldn't. If it was $100, I probably would have bought a couple for my back porch, but I'm not doing that.
Yeah, and that was the thing. I would have bought a couple, like, for one, if I had like an entertainment room or a media room or a, I hate this term, a man cave. Sure, I would buy a couple of them because I remember the glory days of RFK and watching the stadium bounce as the Redskins were pounding Dallas. I remember those days, and I remember sitting in those seats.
Yeah.
For one, I don't have the space, and for $400 a chair, I ain't buying that.
Yeah, they try to say, well, some goes to charity. Yeah, whatever. Come on, man. Yes.
Going to pay Dan Snyder's legal fees.
But Dan doesn't get any.
Actually, that's right. Dan doesn't own that stadium.
Right. Yeah, that's DC government.
It's going to fix the roads in DC, right?
Oh, easy. They're paved with gold already. So what's the big deal on there? So, yeah, it was. I don't know. I'm going to just get a metal folding chair and pretend that was my media chair because that's what we sat on. We're folding chairs, metal folding chair. So I don't miss the RFK press box. It was a pretty uncomfortable place to work, especially in the cold like it is now. But yeah, that's what people did. So good for them. And somebody has a video out there I've not seen where they actually snuck in the stadium and walked through the place. And I heard it's pretty grim. I haven't been inside in a few years. But what would you expect? It's getting ready for demo. So sometime next year they'll knock it down.
Well, the Redskins left in what, 98?
97.
97. The Nationals played there for a couple years, and then of course DC United. But obviously all the teams have gotten there in stadiums with Audi Field and Nats Park now. So what's that? That stadium's been empty for what, 15? About 15 years.
Good 10. If not more.
Yeah.
I forget. It's time to go. I mean,
it got to the point where DC 101 had concerts in the parking lot because the stadium was unsafe. They had to do it on the stadium grounds.
Yeah. Yeah. It was the first of the multi-use, multi-sport stadiums in America, 1961. It's also the last one of them standing. All the others have been knocked down. So so much for that. But you go, well, who's going to put something there now? DC has dragged its feet for a long time, hoping that football would come back. Even though they don't want to quite say it, but they dragged their feet long enough. And I think now when we look at who's going to be the next Commanders owner next year, I wrote a column for 1067 The Fan where I said the only person who can get this team back to RFK is Bezos. And I explained why. There's a couple of things that have to happen. And it's easy for me to say this without talking about the billions of dollars, but whatever. First off, the land's owned by the federal government, but the feds will do a land swap at times. So Jeff Bezos can go buy a mountain or a desert or whatever, a forest, and say, I'll give you this for the RFK site, which is 190 acres. Okay, they do these kind of things. It's possible. And, Bezos got a lot of friends in Capitol Hill. So what do they care? They're getting a forest out of it or whatever. That land then needs to be controlled by the DC government, which has long said we need daily amenities to people there. We need housing. We need that. So I would say, okay, Bezos, I'm going to give you the stadium footprint. I'll give you a lot 8 down by the river and the one right in front of the stadium. The rest of the land, like Reservation 13 and all, is going to go to the city's use. And they go, well, we need things like grocery stores. Bezos goes, I own Whole Foods. We'll be here tomorrow. We'll do pop-up stands, Amazon Fresh, all that. I own all that. You don't think he can't get Costco or Target or somebody over there too? He can make all of this stuff happen.
Yeah.
And then hopefully he says, I'm turning the name back to Redskins and screw all you who don't like it. That would be awesome.
That would
be a hero locally. But you can do these things. They are possible. And the government, everybody will be happy. You'll get jobs in the area, money in the area, and part of the town that really could use it. You're going to get the things you want. It's not about tailgating anymore. It's about mass transit in the future. Sorry, you can't sit there and suck up all the land for tailgate 10 times a year. But they're going to have a second metro stop there, which is above ground, just to the left of the stadium. If you look at it, you can do all that because you're going to have to bring in 60,000 people, at least 50,000 by rail, more or less. Well, you're going to have a double stop. So you can do this too. You can do all these things if you want. It's obstructionists can get pushed aside here. And that's why I think you have to go with Bezos, because anybody else that wants to buy this team is just looking at how they can make money off it. And I get that. And that's why DC didn't want to deal with Dan Snyder, because he wanted all the money coming his way. And he thought he had the power to make it happen. And they said, screw you. But Bezos can show how to share the wealth. And that's how this can work. And everybody should be happy. We'll get a centralized stadium back at those grounds. Take the metro. It's not Virginia getting screwed. It's not Maryland getting screwed. And even things for DC. Back in the old days when the Redskins were great, lots of people ate brunch downtown in the restaurants and all, jumped on the metro, went to the game. So the whole city can make money doing this too. It's a win-win. Mayor Bowser needs to make me the head of this transition team. I'll come out of retirement for that and do it. But it's doable. That's what makes me annoyed is it's very doable. And if I see it, then they should see it.
Oh, they already see it. And we talked about offline. Bezos is trying to really put a footprint on the DC, Maryland, Virginia areas. Obviously, we've talked about HQ2 going in Crystal City. You were telling me that he bought a museum. He owns the Washington Post. He's really trying. And I think that all that was probably done for him to own this team. We talked about there may be teams available down the road. Those don't really fit the plan that I think Bezos has had installed. It's not a coincidence that he put HQ2 in Crystal City, and Bezos can go to any governing body and say, look, I'm creating jobs in the area. I can give you, one of the top tier grocery stores. We're not talking about putting a food line. He's talking about bringing a Whole Foods. He owns Whole Foods, the top tier of Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, those type of upscale grocery stores. He owns one. He's got, Amazon, which is probably the biggest company in the United States. This guy is installing his footprint on this area and owning the Commanders or whatever he wants to name them. It just makes sense. And you're right. I mean, everything's lined up for him to do this, but does Snyder just scoff at that and just say, no, I don't like this guy, I'm not selling to him? That's ridiculous. I think Snyder's at the point where it's just time to get out, take as much money as you can, and Bezos can give you the most money. Now, Rick, with the stadium, one question that I did have for you, will he use taxpayer dollars, or is he going to build that thing out of his pocket with investors?
I think the city will be willing to put up some of the infrastructure costs on all of this, where they wouldn't have for Dan. But, the second metro stop, for instance, that's probably the metro takes care of that. And they have a spot on the rail. It's all there. It won't be hard to do this. I'm not saying that with the metro, but, Silver Line, what was it, 10 years late? I mean, that kind of thing. But the city will chip in some, but it'll be mostly his. And yeah, he won't have the parking revenues, but that's a penny on the floor, and that kind of thing. So I think he can make all this work. I mean, it's easy enough to do on there.
I just think that Bezos is the perfect scenario. Look, I'm not saying the guy's going to come in here and be a football whiz, but he doesn't need to be. He needs to be a business whiz. He needs to be a marketing whiz. And that's what he is. He can make, if he comes in, buys this team, clears house, and brings in football guys to run this organization who go out and get football coaches and get football players. I mean, the guy's going to look like a king. Realistically, any owner that takes over, and if they win, they're going to be a vast improvement over Dan Snyder. And anybody that has left being a fan of the Redskins, Washington football team, Commanders will come back. Real quick, another question, and you brought this up. Does he change the name, not necessarily back to Redskins, but does he go – the guy's got the money to go to court and fight for Wolves because that's what everybody wanted, Red Wolves. Does he go with Hogs? Like, what does he change the name kind of like, starting his regime off fresh?
I could see him wanting to do it. I mean, the crowds have definitely hated it. I had that new book come out, 100 Things we should be Redskins fans should know and do before they die. We changed it to Commanders. Nobody bought them. Yeah, nobody's bought that book because they don't want to. They don't like the name. I mean, I've seen polls where 85% want a name change. Now, we're going to fight again about is it Wolves, is it Hogs? That's another whole fight. But I could see him doing it because people are not invested into the Commanders. By the way, the Sean Taylor statue.
Oh, yeah, they fixed it.
Some of it. They put tape on the face mask. They've got the right jersey now.
They taped up his cleats.
It basically took 10 minutes and fixed it, kind of thing.
It still looks like a wire mannequin at Macy's, but okay.
But at least it's got some of the parts of it right, which matters. All right, last before we go, it's going to be Christmas real soon. Any thoughts on Christmas? You getting anything?
It's not for me. Christmas isn't for me. I'm 40 years old. It's for my kids.
I'm over my 60s, and I'm looking for something. My kids are.
You already got something. You're sitting in it.
Yeah, I know. I got whatever. I saw Santa a couple of times. Saw him at the game. There were several of them good ones too. Hey,
Santa's made an appearance on our podcast before, hasn't he?
Yeah, where is Santa? I think I saw him around here somewhere, and I don't know. Let me see. Santa, come here. Come here. All right, I found him, Matt.
Here we go.
Oh no, where are you? There you are. Oh,
hey, there he is. Hey, Santa, have I been naughty this year?
Yeah. You've been naughty, Matt, so you get nothing. Anyway, I can't see anything anyway. We got to get out of here. I'm Snyder.
I'm Matt.
And we'll be back. I'm Santa. I screwed that up. I blew my identity. Okay, anyway, bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Seasons of Discontent on the Hogstye Network.